Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today we are putting together a little odds and ends video for you. Got several things I want to share with you about the shop today. Wanted to kind of wrap up the jib crane behind me, and it's really not enough for a whole video. So I'm going to kind of throw this in with some other content to kind of put together an odds and ends. And the big news in this episode is, yes, I have the jib crane complete. Unfortunately, I didn't really get a lot of video finishing it up. I had some people coming in and helping me, and as often happens when I have other people in the shop with me working, I'm concentrated on working and not concentrated on filming, and we're just trying to get things done. But just kind of following up where we left off, we came in and got the top beam mounted up on there, and we've got that. That's, I think, 6 or 7 feet altogether sticking out, or maybe it's 8 feet, I can't remember. I think it's 8 feet. It sticks out about 7 feet because over the column, not quite 7 feet, that's what it is. And it swings around, and we have plenty of clearance to get over the lathe here. So let me kind of show you here. When this pulls around, we can now easily get out here in front of the lathe, be able to pick up chucks, be able to pick up work, whatever, and get it over here onto the lathe to be able to work things out. So this little jib crane that was kind of came with this lathe that really wasn't doing what it needed to do, I'm going to take it back off. I haven't done that yet, but that's going to disappear, and we're just going to be able to use this one. Now, this whole jib crane here is rated for 1 ton, 2,000 pounds, and that'll be much more than I probably will ever lift with this, because pretty much the only thing that'll be going on this will be anything I'm loading on the lathe. I doubt very seriously I'll ever load anything on here that weighs a ton. But if I do, we got it. We got the capability. This will swing all the way around. It'll go over my other lathe on the other side, on the back side back there. And so I kind of put it between my lathes. The smaller lathe typically don't have a lot of problems loading it up or even handling chucks, but there have been some times when I needed to get something in there to help me, and so I have this option over there as well. This crane, again, really not planning on using it for any, day in, day out lifting. It's just going to pretty much be for working over here on these machines and being able to load them up and give us the flexibility to do that. And if you guys watched my videos where I've used this machine in the past, just changing chucks on this lathe, this 28-inch lathe, I mean, the chucks weigh 300 or 400 pounds. So there's just no way for me to pick them up and handle them without some type of hoist here to be able to do it. Now, when I bought this, it came with this chain fall. This is a Budget by Liftech. It's a 1.5 ton chain fall. I'm not sure why they put a 1.5 ton chain fall on a 1 ton jib crane, but we got plenty of capacity in it, and it works perfectly fine. Eventually, my goal is I want to get a electric hoist for this, but nah, we got time. This will work just fine. I'm used to working with the chain falls, and we'll just make do with what we got until that time comes along. So I did get some help to come in, like I said, and get the top piece mounted. Keith Hubbard, who helped me out with doing some of the other work on this, lives down in Jacksonville. He came up and helped me one weekend, and we got that done and some other things done around here as well. Also, once we kind of got everything put in here like it needed to go, we got the machinery moved back in. That was a chore in itself. The Monarch lathe, the 16-inch Monarch lathe, it weighs around 4,000 pounds. It's not too bad to move. This lathe here, the big 28-inch Monarch, it weighs almost 12,000 pounds according to the tag that's on it. And it is a beast to have to move. I've moved it several times in the past. I can do it. I can handle it in the shop, but I have to have some help. And I didn't really get any video of us. Let me swing this out of the way and get it out of the way. I didn't get any video of us really moving this lathe around, but basically what I used to do it were some of these rollers that I've got. These are just some big heavy-duty casters that have some wheels on it. These are made for moving machinery. This particular one here is rated for 2 tons, and I've got 2 of these. And on this big lathe here, I use my toe jack, which I can easily pick this machine up. I put 2 of these rollers up underneath the headstock end, and I put my pallet jack up underneath the tailstock end. And between those, we were able to get, it took 3 or 4 people, but we were able to just roll this thing right where it went. So it's not that terrible. I need some help doing it. It's not something I can just move myself. Most of the machines in here, in my shop, I've got that I can come in with a pallet jack, pick them up and move them by myself, no problem. I like to keep my machines up a little bit higher. It makes a little bit higher, nicer working height for me. A lot of machines are a little bit too low for my personal preference. So raising them up a little bit makes it easier to get a pallet jack up underneath, and then whenever I need to move something, I just jack it up and move it. Bigger machines, yeah, gotta have some help. But anyway, just talked a little bit about how we did that. Once I got this over here, these are all on leveling feet, so there are actually 8 leveling feet up underneath this. These are the little wedge type leveling feet that you can move, and 2 wedges come together and you can adjust each foot independently. I've got it sitting on 8 points. Originally there were 8 set screws that you could adjust. I call them set screws, jack screws, whatever, individual points. Now, this machine, I will just tell you that those jack screws that were in it were so rusted up that I can't get them to move. And I was able to get a couple of them out. And I mean, I worked and worked and worked at one point in time trying to get all those out and to get them where I could have my leveling feet or leveling screws. And I literally just gave up because they were just too bad in there. So these are all just sitting up underneath the bottom on the base of the machine, and we got the machine leveled up. Again, did it off camera. I've showed machine leveling before. I just used my precision levels, and we got the machines all leveled out. When leveling a lathe, the biggest thing you want to do is make sure the bed doesn't have any twist in it. You use levels to do that, which is why they call it leveling. The machine does not have to be perfectly level from end to end, although you want it to be fairly close. But what you do want is on the front and the back of the ways to make sure that there's no twist in there. And when you're leveling the feet, you move 1 foot, you can put a little bit of twist in these lathes, and you know, a little twist can make a big difference in the diameter as that thing's turning. So you want to get them leveled out without any twists. And since we moved both of them, I actually leveled both of the lathes, which is good practice to check your level on your lathes every so often anyway. So anyway, we got all that done. But the good news is that the shop is back together. It is back in order, and can really kind of get in here and work again. While we were working on this jib crane, I had to move everything out of here, and it took up space in other parts of the shop, and I had to move other things around in other parts of the shop to make room for these machines that I had to move out of the way, and it just made working in the shop difficult during that time. And there was about a month that we were working on the jib crane that we just didn't really have it. The concrete has completely been set up. They said that after you set this, it needs to harden for 28 days before you put a full load on here. I have not put a full load on it yet, but the concrete is ready to go. Even the grout up underneath the bottom has had plenty of time to harden as well. So this is ready to go whenever we need to use it. And so I really need to get a chuck put back on the lathe, so it'll get used for that coming up soon. But I did want to give a quick update on the jib crane. And it is, like I said, completely functional, ready to roll, and shop is kind of back to normal. So there we go. There's our jib crane update. Let's go look at some items that have come in the shop. So first up here, I got some items I picked up from York Powell up in Utah. Actually, this is a purchase. York contacted me. He had seen the video on the Tally-Ho where I ground down my 7/16 inch broach. And he had actually a 7/16 and a half inch D size Dumont broach that were in good shape. These were a little bit bigger than what he normally would use, and he didn't really have a need for them. So we worked out a little deal. So I ended up buying the two broaches from him, and he threw in a couple of horizontal milling cutters that he sent along as well. So the 7/16" broach that I had to grind down for that job, I've still got it. It may get used again one day for something or another, but I do have a regular broach that fits in a regular broach bushing, D-size broach bushing now to go. And I had a 1/2" broach, C-size broach. I didn't have a 1/2" D. I thought I did, but I actually got one now. So anyway, York, thank you very much. These will, I'm sure, get used in projects coming down the road, and I greatly appreciate you reaching out to me and making a deal with me. So next, for the website, I received a bunch of stuff that came in from Jake Mudler up at Ritter Machinery Company in Holland, Michigan. And at some point in time, their company acquired the Nash company, Nash Machine Company, I think it is, something, I can't remember the name of the exact company, but Nash. They made awesome machinery back in the day. They acquired all of their stuff, and they were cleaning things out and had a bunch of these old photographs and slides and whatever, as well as some literature that was probably going to end up in the dumpster. But before they dumped it, he put it in a package and sent it down to me for the website. So it was greatly appreciated to be able to save this stuff. I'm going to work on getting some of this stuff scanned and uploaded up on the vintagemachinery.org website coming up at some point in time. Even one of these days, hopefully have time to go through all these photographs and stuff. I'm sure there's some neat stuff in there. Some of this is, I'm sure, the pictures taken for, doing sales literature. There are some advertisements in there, some proofs, galley proofs for advertising and some stuff like that. So anyway, nice little collection of stuff here from Nash, and we'll get that put up on the website as soon as we have a chance to get it scanned in and put in. And Jake, thank you very much for thinking about us. And we'll get it archived whenever we get a chance. So up next, I got some really cool metrology tools that I recently picked up. These came from the Commemorative Air Force, which is up in Peachtree City, Georgia. They have a wing there. They basically restore and fly vintage World War II era aircraft. And they had received a donation of some metrology tooling from a aerospace company several years ago. They had a lot of duplicate stuff. One of the stipulations that they had is they couldn't sell it, but they could trade it for other things that they needed. And they reached out to me. They were looking for a few things to help out their shop, and I had some stuff that we could do some trading with, so we did some trading. And the first item here is a set of Starrett 48-inch, actually 50-inch vernier calipers. So these are a set of calipers that you can measure outside or inside measurements with, and they go out to 50 inches. It says 48 inches, but the scale on them actually goes to 50. Anyway, very nice set here for doing large size measurements. These read to 1/1000th of an inch. You'd have to know how to read the vernier scale, which it's not a problem. I know how to do that. Use them quite frequently for other things. And I actually came with some standards in here. These are would normally be used for a micrometer, but you could use it to set the standard on these. So there was 3 different standards. Let's see what the links were on them. So these standards are 31 inches, 33 inches, and 35 inches. And you could use these just measuring with them and make sure your calibration is on. Obviously, with a large length like this, temperature is going to play a role in it. So if you're in a hot room, it's going to expand, a cold room, whatever. Normally a metrology room would be at 68 degrees Fahrenheit. And that would be kind of where you would want to make very precision measurements at, but we're reading to 1/1000th of an inch here. Now, over that distance, yeah, a couple of degrees can probably make this grow a little bit, but anyway, it's going to be good enough for what I'm going to use it for. And I do occasionally have a need to measure something like this. So if you're not familiar with reading a vernier micrometer or vernier calipers or any type of vernier scale, this is basically what it looks like. So this will read to 1/1000th of an inch. 0.001 inches. And basically the way it works is you can direct read this in up to in 50,000th increments. So you basically come down here and you just read right off of here. This, you got an inside and an outside, by the way. So if, depending on whether you're measuring on the inside or the outside of these, on the inside you use the top scale, on the outside measurements you use the bottom. So usually you're going to be measuring outside measurements. But you would come in here and you would read down here on the bottom on the zero. So right now we're at 2 inches and we're at 200 thousandths. There's a 50 thousandths mark in there, so that's 250 thousandths, but we don't know what it is between 250 and 300 thousandths. So what you do is you look at this bottom scale down here and you just read across here, and somewhere along this line you're going to have two lines that line up pretty perfectly. And I'm looking at this and it looks like it's right here at 31. So that's 31 thousandths, and I'm going to add that to the 250 thousandths that we have over here. So that's going to be 281 thousandths of an inch. So we're at 2 inches, 281 thousandths where it's sitting right now. So if you never read a vernier scale, that's how you do it. I think in today's world, most people are just used to digital tools. I like the analog tools like this, that, no batteries required. It always works, but that's just my preference, I guess. I will note here that you got this piece back here. You can lock this down. That'll lock the head, so if you just want to set it to a measurement and go slip it over, whatever. You can also lock this one down here, and this just gives you a fine adjust. So now I'm moving this in and out with a fine adjust. So if I'm trying to get to if I'm trying to set it to a particular measurement, of course you loosen them both up and the whole head just slides back and forth. So anyway, very nice tool. And this will be a nice addition to my arsenal. I have a set of 24-inch vernier calipers like this. This, of course, will get me out to 48 inches or 50 inches in this case, so a little over 4 feet. Very nice. So here's another piece we picked up from the same place, and this is a set made by Starrett, basically a set of inside micrometers or end micrometers. You can use it to measure basically inside measurements, and it's a kit that you can basically put together to get whatever length you need. And when you put everything together here, I think we can go up to 83 inches. Maybe a little bit more than that if you really add them all together. But basically, there's a micrometer head in here, and there's also this head here, which has got a indicator in it. And depending on whether you were measuring something or checking a calibration of something, depending on which one you're doing. If you're just making a measurement, you would just use the micrometer head here. This is just a regular, micrometer head. You can use it just like this. But if you need a longer piece, you can just screw this little end piece on like such. And now I can measure, whatever range that goes between. And you can just keep on adding on different pieces until you get what you want. So these are end pieces down here. These pieces in here just give you added range. So if you notice, there is no end on this one. So to put an end on it, I'd have to screw that on there. But now I've got, let's see, I'm going to make it the longest I can go. So I can put that in there, put in another, 24 piece. So you basically got a 12, a 24, two 12s, and two 24s. And anyway, you go up to 80 something inches. So I can just keep screwing these together to get those longer lengths. Really neat set. The other head up here, let me show you that one. So this one you see has got a little dial indicator in it, and this is for if you're actually checking a measurement. So you would set this to whatever measurement you want. You would, let me get that screwed on. So, you know, you would set your micrometer head to whatever size you wanted. You would lock it in place here. And now you can put this down inside a bore or whatever. And this will tell you, you know, if you're right on that measurement or whether you're above or below it. And this micrometer or this dial indicator actually reads in half thousandths. So anyway, you can put that in there and very quickly go in here. Once this is calibrated to the right length, and you can tell, okay, I'm, you know, 1/1000 or 2/1000 over or under. So this one is more for calibration work or inspection work, whereas this head you would use for actual measurement work. Anyway, another very nice set. Glad to have this. I've taken the wrong end off. And this is something that will come in handy, I'm sure. I've got a similar set to this made by Brown & Sharp, although it doesn't have the inspection piece. It's just got the pieces for measuring. And I've got rods in it that I can go up to something like 20 feet. I've got a bunch of 24-inch rods. This is a much heavier, beefier set, though. A lot more steel in this one. I would imagine this is probably a little bit more accurate. The other set, like other, will go to a longer length. And I believe that this is a piece that's used for calibrating. So when you're calibrating in your piece here, somehow or another, I'd have to figure out exactly how that's used, but for setting the zero on the micrometer or on the dial indicator. All right, so anyway, pick this one up. Another nice piece. And finally, third piece I picked up from them. This is made by Mitutoyo, but this is basically a depth gauge, whatever you want to call it. It's not really a micrometer, but this is for measuring depths of something. It's got a vernier scale on it, kind of like the other one over there, and this one goes to 24 inches deep. So you can slide this all the way down. It actually goes beyond 24. It's like at 25, 26 inches, a little over 26.5 inches total, although they don't have it measured out there. I don't know why. My guess is this was probably made, has a kissing cousin that's metric, and it probably that comes out to whatever metric depth they were measuring, so they just added on a couple of extra. But basically a 0 to 24 inch depth gauge here. This is, again, something that I think will be very handy to have. I've got a set of depth micrometers that will measure down to, I think 12 inches is as deep as I can measure with just a regular rod micrometer. But with this one, I can go to 26.5 inches. So nice addition as well. And again, this one has the vernier scale on it, and it reads to 1/1000 of an inch. Almost forgot, I also picked up a set of pie tapes while I was up there. These are very handy little tools to have, and I actually didn't have any of these. And there's 4 different ones here, and these are all for different measurements. So if you're not familiar with a pie tape, so this is, I'm going to just pull it out. There's basically just a little piece here, whatever, and what you would do is you would use this to measure the diameter of a round piece of whatever. Think a piece of pipe. If you wanted to figure out what the diameter is, you take this and you wrap it around the circumference, around the outside of that piece of pipe, and then you can come in here and read off of this by looking at where the measurements come together, and you can read the diameter. So they call it a pie tape because it's basically the scale is reading in diameter. You're actually measuring the circumference, but it has the trigonomic function or whatever to convert a circumference to a diameter built into the scale. So when you wrap it around, what you're actually reading on the tape is not the circumference, but the diameter. And they're real handy, again, if you're needing to measure a pipe or whatever. You can use these both inside and outside. If it's on the inside, you add 20/1000 of an inch. If it's on the outside, you just read it directly. And again, this reads down to 1/1000 of an inch. When you look on here, you go 23, inches, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's tenths of an inch, and then there's 4 increments in there. And there's a vernier scale here from 0 to 25. So you have to kind of do a little bit of math to figure it up, but it will actually read that to 1/1000th of an inch that you can read it right off of it. And like I said, if you're doing the inside diameter, you add 20/1000ths to whatever the measurement is, and it'll calculate it out. And that's just because of the thickness of the rule. There are 4 different ones. They're for different lengths. Like I said, this one here is 12 to 24 inches. See, we got a 24 to 36 inches, so 2 to 3 feet. 36 to 48 inches, so 3 to 4 feet. And this one's 48 to 60 inches, so 4 to 5 feet in diameter. And I don't have a 0 to 12, but I got basically 12 1 foot to 5 foot diameters I can read with these. And when you get through with them, you just kind of wrap them back up in your little holder here and have it for the next time. So anyway, nice to have these. Like I said, I didn't have a set, but I do now. I'll put these up, and one day I'm sure I'll need to measure a diameter of something big, and we'll be in business. Well, guys, I think that's going to pretty much be a wrap. Mainly just wanted to kind of show you guys, finished up jib crane, get that checked off the list, and also while I had a little bit of time in the video, we went ahead and covered some of these items that have come into the shop and shared with you guys as well. I'll also note that when this video goes live, the day it goes live, I will be on the road traveling out to the Barsy Summer Bash, which will be held, June 21st through 23rd in Rancho Cucamonga, California. Stan Zinkowski hosts this every year, has a bunch of different YouTubers come in. You get a meet and greet opportunity, big, huge raffle that they have going on. They have some demonstrations going on, swap meet going on, a lot of fun. So, you know, hopefully when you see this, you still have time to get signed up and come out to that. Would love to see anybody that wants to come out to the Barsy Summer Bash. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to it. And myself, Clark Easterling, and Mike Wiggins are actually going to jump in a truck, and we're going to make a road trip across the U.S. to go out this year, which I'm looking forward to that as well. Never done that cross-country ride in a vehicle, flown over there many, many times. I think New Mexico is the farthest I've ever driven to from Georgia. But we're going to go all the way over and come back, and we're looking forward to the road trip as much as we are the bash. I can tell you, we've got a bunch of stops that we have planned along the way, and going to have a good time doing that as well. So anyway, with all that, if you want to attend the bash, I'll try to remember to put a link down in the description down below where you can get more information on that. If not, just search for Barsy Summer Bash 2024, and you can find the website at Barsy Industrial and get signed up for that. Hope to see you guys out there. And with that, again, that's a wrap. We're going to sign off. We will catch you guys on the next video. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Those thumbs up and comments, always greatly appreciated. Really helps out with the algorithms on YouTube. And a big, huge thank you to the guys who support the site financially through Patreon, PayPal, etc. We got links for that down in the description as well. You can help out around here and help support the site and help me justify taking all the time it takes to make these videos. So with that, we are going to sign off. We'll catch you on the next video. Again, thanks for watching.